Hello folks, welcome back. The African National Congress's assaults, attacks, open attacks in the press on its governing coalition partner, the Democratic Alliance, are now picking up fast and furious headlines just coming, it seems like, every time you turn around. Here's a few that just occurred in the past several hours. Ramaphosa accuses the Democratic Alliance of cheaply exploiting engagements between South Africa and the United States. That appeared in the Independent online. Right-wing nexus. Presidency blasts the Democratic Alliance over claims Mcebisi Jonas was denied U.S. visa. Jason Felix in News 24. And this gem, the DA trying to use foreign state to affect policy changes in South Africa, Ramaphosa. Times Live by Kogatso Madisa. Now, this is a bit disturbing. This is a coalition partner, and they're actively, openly being targeted by their coalition partner, the African National Congress. Democratic Alliance has come out and reported that apparently Mcebisi Jonas, the so-called special envoy to the United States, never got his diplomatic visa. Here are some of the quotes from Vincent Mangwenya, the spokesman of the presidency, regarding the situation. The presidency is therefore concerned about the DA's persistent campaign against South Africa's national interest and its posture of trying to embarrass and belittle our country, and in this specific circumstance, Mr. Jonas. That's what Ramaphosa said through his spokesman, Vincent Mangwenya. The issue here, folks, is not that the Democratic Alliance is undermining South Africa's national interest, but rather it's undermining the parochial party interest of the African National Congress. And they just can't have that. They can't be called on the carpet for their actions. This particular comment stems from the Democratic Alliance reporting that for months, South Africa's government under the ANC, which controls the foreign ministry, has known that Mcebisi Jonas was unacceptable to Washington. His diplomatic visa was denied in May, and his credentials were refused. They weren't accepted by the U.S. government. So the government of South Africa now, through Mangwenya, is trying to claim that he's a special envoy and doesn't need accreditation. But that's utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. A special envoy is above a charge d'affaires and below an ambassador plenipotentiary, yet nonetheless carries ambassadorial rank and must be accredited to the region or the issue or the country that they travel to. How else do you work as an envoy, communicating in a diplomatic sense, which is what an envoy is, with another nation, with another organization, unless you're accredited there? You must present your credentials. The fact that they don't makes Mcebisi Jonas, at best, a special advisor to the president, not a special envoy for North America. Mangwenya continues, this campaign has its origins in a DA visit to the U.S. earlier this year to advance an ideological agenda rather than our national interest. Now, the reality here is the ideological agenda that's being advanced is from the African National Congress. Their views are incongruent and inconsistent with South Africa's constitution. Their constant passage of racist laws that discriminate against South Africa's racial minorities is evidence of this. That is incongruent with the Constitution and against the national interest. The Democratic Alliance, which is a left-of-center liberal political party, is simply looking for people to obey the law in South Africa. The ANC doesn't seem to have any interest in obeying the law. The DA has positioned itself as part of a right-wing nexus that seeks to use a foreign state to effect changes to democratically developed national policies in our own country. Democratically developed. Well, what you're referring to is tyranny of the majority. The ANC, controlling the parliament with the majority, passed legislation that's in violation and incongruent with the Constitution. That's not democracy. You have a Constitution. You must adhere to it. You can't simply pass laws that violate the Constitution. That isn't democracy. This is why democracy is not the best form of government. Representative democracy is a better form, because this is simply tyranny of the majority. Mangwenya said the DA was using Jonas matter as a political football in an attempt to fight back against the axing of Andrew Whitfield last month. Now that's comical. I'm one of the commentators that frequently point out that the Democratic Alliance has thrown Andrew Whitfield under the bus. They didn't demand that he be reinstated. They never even asked Ramaphosa for that. So what political football are you talking about? This is just distraction and deflection from the real issues here. Typical ANC. Vincent Mangwenya is trying to gaslight you and tell you that this whole situation, reporting that Mcebisi Jonas, who hasn't shown up in Washington, so if he is the special envoy to the United States, why isn't he in Washington? Months after he was appointed. Why can't the ANC explain that? Because they're lying to you and misleading you and gaslighting you. And now they're trying to do it again, claiming that the DA is simply upset about Andrew Whitfield. They may be upset about Andrew Whitfield, but they threw him under the bus. Andrew Whitfield is not even an issue for the DA. They sent it back to the Eastern Cape. He is not someone that they're trying to get back in office. Utter nonsense from Mangwenya. Trying to explain away the role of special envoy Nicklin Jonas. Mangwenya said that his role does not supersede that being played by the Department of National Relations and Cooperation in easing tensions in trade relations with the United States. No, it shouldn't. But you have no ambassador. You have a special envoy. Is he actually a special envoy, or is this just nonsense? He says, Mr. Jonas has, however, played an important role in working with the DTIC to develop the trade proposals in which South Africa is currently engaging the U.S. in good faith and with the expectation of mutually beneficial terms. I love how he says in good faith. In good faith, South Africa has not addressed the United States in trade negotiations in good faith. The reciprocal tariffs were imposed on the 3rd of April. Trump suspended them for 90 days, only giving a 10% tariff globally. And South Africa failed to send a trade delegation to the United States. There's no good faith here. The first time they addressed this trade issue was when Ramaphosa came to the United States and tried to gaslight President Trump. It didn't work. He also insulted President Trump, interrupting him when Annika Larsen asked him a question about the so-called genocide. That's the first time they engaged. The next time they engaged was at the U.S.-Africa Business Summit in Luanda, Angola, months later. And they sent a junior delegation there. No trade minister, no foreign minister, no deputy president, no president, while 14 African states sent their heads of state there. That's how seriously they took the trade negotiations and the opportunity to do business with the United States. The ANC is not negotiating on trade in good faith or on anything in good faith with the United States. It's utter nonsense. They have no ambassador, no special envoy, no trade representative, no trade delegation. Nobody's here. And the role he's describing for Nicklin Jonas in informing South Africa's executive branch about the ways to formulate a policy, a trade deal with the United States, is not a special envoy. That would be a role for a special envoy. But he's not come to America. He has no credentials. He's not based here. Therefore, he's nothing but a special advisor to the president. So stop lying to South Africans and calling him a special envoy. And stop calling the DA right-wing. They're not right-wing. They're a liberal party. And they're not working against the interest of South Africa. They're working against the parochial interest of a privileged, elite, disconnected, increasingly unpopular African National Congress, which can't seem to see the forest of the trees and continues to whistle past the cemetery as the country implodes around them. What say you, South Africa? Cheers.